Daily Journal's Prep Focus on Football. I'm Tim Ahrens, your host, senior sports writer for the Daily Journal. Across from me, the man, the myth, the legend, the authority on football in Illinois, Steve Susi. How'd your thing go last week with the pairing show in Bloomington?
Pretty well. It was interesting. They were having some technical problems, and I got to hear the ins and outs of the 20 minutes before the broadcast while I waited on hold, which was entertaining to say the least. But it worked out pretty well. I thought it was a good show, basically, for the most part.
Well, we are now at playoff time. The Journal area has 7 teams in the playoffs. We're going to look at all 7 of those games. But before we do that, let's look back to last week, because I was 10-1 and he was 9-2. So that means I won last week, and I currently hold a 2-game lead on him at 88 wins while he has 86. So what do you got to say for yourself, Mr. Authority?
That's fine. We'll see what we're talking about in a couple weeks here, and I think you know I'm probably right about this. Let's go.
I'm not saying I'm not going to win. I'm just saying I'm probably not going to win.
That's probably what you should be saying, though.
Probably not going to win. All right, let's start off on Friday night's games in Class 7A. Bradley Bourbonnais will travel up to Plainfield South. Bradley is 6-3, Plainfield 8-1. What do you know?
Plainfield's one of the more explosive offenses in the state of Illinois. They average 48 points a game. That puts them amongst the top 5 scoring teams in the state. They can score every time they touch the ball, and Bradley will have their hands full trying to stop them. They're obviously a very talented offensive team. The one weakness that Bradley might be able to exploit is, while they're very good on offense, they're also not so good on defense. So Bradley could get into a shootout with them, and Craig Bundy's not shy about pulling out all the bells and whistles come this time of year. So it should be an interesting game. I'm going to pick Plainfield South, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people would think.
I'm going to pick Plainfield South too, but I got a question for you. I read online, a commenter said that Bradley has held everybody on their schedule to under their average points. Do you know anything about that?
I'm pretty sure that's probably correct. But if Bradley can hold Plainfield South under their average points, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win this week.
They can still score 42.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, we'll go to Class 4A. Manteno, 5-4, goes to Richmond Burton, which is undefeated at 9-0. Manteno had to win last week to get in, and they did the job.
Local teams don't like playing Richmond Burton. The last 2 years, 3 different area teams have been knocked out of the postseason by Richmond Burton. They're very good again this year. They like to run the football until you make them stop running the football, and not many teams can do that. Manteno has a huge challenge on their hands. They've been playing very well the last couple of weeks, but they're going to have to basically play mistake-free football just to be in this game. I'm going to go with Richmond Burton, obviously, from all the praise that I just lauded on them.
Well, I'll take Richmond Burton too, but you really got to hand it to Manteno. First time in the playoffs, lost the first 2 games of the year in overtime, could have mailed it in, but they stuck with it and made the playoff field, and the reward is one of the top teams in Class 4A. So, moving on, also on Friday night, Morris comes to town to play Bishop McNamara. These two have played in the playoffs before.
Very long history between these 2 teams. There have been some regular season games between them, but most notably, Mac and Morris have played 5 playoff games at both schools, and Morris has won all 5 of them. I don't know if that trend's going to continue, but certainly that gives Morris some confidence that they can play in this game with the Irish.
Your pick?
I'm going to go with Bishop McNamara.
Yeah, McNamara 7-2, Morris 6-3. Morris played Bradley earlier this year, gave him a pretty good game. I think Mac will break the streak, the playoff losing streak against Morris, and they will win. Also on Friday night, Winnebago comes to Wilmington. This will be in Class 3A field. Winnebago is 5-4. Wilmington, as usual, undefeated in the regular season, 9-0.
Wilmington hasn't had a lot of luck with big northern teams, which is where Winnebago is from. But in this case, I think Wilmington's probably the prohibitive favorite. Winnebago's a 5-4 team. They've been beaten by every other playoff team that they've played this season, except for Genoa Kingston. Wilmington, even without Jeremy Bailey, rolled a previously undefeated Sandwich team last week. I think they've got enough to get past this week, and then the bracket gets pretty interesting for the Wildcats.
So you're taking Wilmington?
Yes.
Yeah, I will take Wilmington also. I'll be covering that game, so I've talked to Coach Rinks at Wilmington. He's concerned about a fullback that Winnebago has, who is a state champion wrestler, and I believe he's going to Stanford on a wrestling scholarship, so that could pose some trouble for them, but Wilmington's pretty good, so we'll take them. In the Class 2A field, Momence at 7-2 will travel to El Paso was also 7-2. What do you know about El Paso?
El Paso is a typical Heart of Illinois Conference team. They love to run the football. They'll only pass if you dare them to. And Moments should have a challenge. They've got a couple of really nice specialist players, but Moments' overall offensive skill level is probably a little bit higher than El Paso's, and even though they're on the road, I'm leaning towards Moments in this one.
I'll take the Redskins also. Explosive offense, even if El Paso has a good defense, I think Moments the speed will rule in this one. Okay, we move on to Saturday. IVC comes to Herscher in Class 4A action.
IVC features one of my favorite nicknames in the state of Illinois. They go the moniker of the Gray Ghosts. Last year, I saw this team play against Bishop McNamara, and they actually played like they were ghosts. They were decimated by the Irish in a first-round playoff game, despite going undefeated in the regular season. We're not real sure what they're going to bring to the table. You do know from looking at the schedule, they haven't beat a single team that played in the playoffs this year, that made it to the playoffs this year, and their schedule was not very good. So I'm leaning towards taking Herscher in this one. That's the way I'm going to go.
Well, Herscher 8-1. IVC 7-2. It's kind of a toss-up, and it's Halloween weekend. I'm taking the Gray Ghosts.
Fair enough.
Just going to do it. Don't know why. Our last game, Saturday night, 5 o'clock, Central, which is 8-1, will host Elmwood, which is 6-3. What do you know about Elmwood, and where are they from?
Well, Elmwood is from north of Peoria, over in that area of the state, and I know that just by the information that I've been able to pick up is they better keep the ambulance close by, and I'm not saying that because I think Central's going to maul Elmwood. I'm saying that because Elmwood's coach told me the other day that they've only had 3 players on their starting lineup on both sides of the ball that have been able to physically play the same position the entire season. They've been rampantly affected by injuries. So if they're healthy and on the field, we might see what Elmwood can do. But it looks like Central is a pretty substantial favorite in this game.
So you're taking Central?
Yeah, I'm going to take Central.
Central sounds like the smart pick here. Okay, well, now we move on to our Player of the Week segment. Who was Player of the Week for Week 9?
Well, the big guy this week was a showdown between Central and Moments. David Payne really came to play in that game. He delivered once again for the Comets. He ran for 202 yards. Scored 3 touchdowns, including 2 on the ground and 1 as a receiver. So obviously the Comets put together a big game, won that big showdown with Moments, won the Sangamon Valley Conference title in the process, and a lot of that was thanks to Payne.
Okay, where are you going to be this weekend?
I've got a triple header of games this week. Basically on Friday night I'll be taking in the Moments El Paso game, and on Saturday I'm watching both Central and Herscher in action.
Double header Saturday. Wow.
Can't do better than that.
That's
other than a triple header, maybe.
Well, there you go. A triple header would be it. So, like I said, I'm going to go to Wilmington to watch the Wildcats play Winnebago. I think that's going to wrap it up for the first week of the playoffs. Hopefully we're back here next week. We're going to stick with you as long as we have teams in the playoff field. So we'll be back. Make sure you grab Thursday's edition of the Daily Journal. Look in the Prep Focus section. You're going to see records. You're going to see game stories, or game previews actually, and you might see some picks from us as well, and you'll see that I'm in the lead. So until then, we will see you on the sidelines, and happy Halloween.